Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Joining me today on Calgary's podcast is John Erisman, who is co-founder and director of brand for Gradient Beverages. Thanks, John, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the company. Tell me what it is that you folks do.
So Gradient Beverages, we produce a line of different ready-to-drink beverages. So term is an RTD. So think like White Claws, cocktails in a can, that kind of thing.
And how and they're all alcoholic?
We actually do a range. So we've got some alcoholic ones. We do non-alc. We produce products for ourselves, and we also do co-packing for other brands. Some that are already out there making their products and just want some support with the ready-to-drink space. So some breweries come to us and want to have a ready-to-drink. And then some people that just have a dream, they want to launch a new product,
Yeah.
they'll come to us. We offer lower minimum runs. So it's a good place for them to test the waters.
Ah, I see. So, when was the company founded and started?
So we started in 2020.
Oh,
Um, Basically started with an idea. So it's a family business. It's my sister, her husband, and myself. An idea that we had at a Christmas party. So we were drinking together and we were like, hey, we should start a drink company.
and, and what exactly? I'm just curious, especially a lot of the kind of smaller, whatever distilleries or whatever you want to call them out there in breweries. Um, what is it that you have in place, and like where is this stuff made?
Yeah, we've got a facility in Southeast Calgary. We're what you'd call a mixing and canning facility. So we don't actually do any distilling. We bring in all of the alcohol from different sources.
Yeah.
Basically, that's like a fire code thing, but it allows us to be really focused on the mixing, so coming up with great recipes. And then we've got a really good canning line. It's called a counter pressure canning line, which allows us to do like really dialed in carbonation. And we can also do nitro infused drinks, so uncarbonated drinks
Oh,
as well.
cool. So where do the, I guess, quote unquote recipes, I guess, come for these drinks? How do you come about
We've
figuring?
been, yeah, we've been learning along the way. We learned that there's actually people that you can ask to develop recipes for you. We didn't really know that going in. So my brother-in-law Josh, he's a geologist by trade, but really just a scientist by nature, and he developed a recipe. So he figures out how to scale up from just something we would do as a little bench test to something that's shelf stable with preservatives. And he's been learning along the way and won a lot of awards while doing it. So he's doing great.
And in terms of the distribution, where are your beverages sold?
We're in Alberta, BC, and Saskatchewan, and we're working on Manitoba as well.
Okay.
And we've got some different product lines that are focused on different channels. And that was a big part of our learnings is like coming up, having a niche that is specific enough that we can drive sales. So early days, we found that just selling to a liquor store wasn't enough. So we introduced a product line called Sunday Session, which is focused on golf courses. And there's nowhere else in the world that's better to sell a beverage to than a golf course. Usually people are drinking 3 or 4 drinks around, free sampling, and just you can get people to try the product without having to set up a tasting booth in a liquor store and hope to hit like 20 people.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. So what were you doing before you got into doing this?
I was in advertising, so I've been advertising since 2010 as a copywriter. So I've had a bunch of different uh, beer and alcohol brands that I've worked with over the years.
Oh,
So kind of got like a taste of the space and also got a taste of the things that they wouldn't do. And and so being like kind of a salty creative and thinking, oh, I could do this better. So now I've actually like tried to do it better and learned all of the reasons why they would say no to things along the way. So it's been a good learning lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you folks started the business up, what's the biggest challenge in starting up a business?
I mean, the first product that we had, and the reason that we call our company Gradient, the idea was that we would have these gradually reducing alcohol mix packs. So you'd buy a six pack of ready to drinks, and there would be less and less alcohol percent in each can. So you'd get an 8%, a 7%, a 6%, a 4%, 3%, and 2%. So the idea behind that was that you could start strong, get kind of a good buzz going, and then gradually reduce. So you'd maintain that good feeling without going overboard. Our kind of tagline on that was get silly, not sloppy. And that was right off the bat. Sounds like a cool idea. Me explaining it, like hopefully that makes sense to you. But as a product on the shelf, that's a really complicated product to explain to somebody without me standing next to it and explaining it. So as a product, didn't quite work. As a production, as something that you'd actually produce, extremely complicated. We had three different flavors that we wanted to do. So we had a raspberry lemon, we had a lime, and a cucumber mint. So that's 18 different SKUs, like 18 different canning runs in order to just make that first run.
Yeah.
So we overcame that where basically no brewery and no canning facility would give us the time of day to to do that. They're like, we're not going to give you a quarter of our year on this untested thing to produce all of this product for you. So we decided to build our own facility that would allow us to do it because we were convinced that this product was gonna change the world. Um, but all of the lessons that we had to learn after that were how hard it is for distribution, um, how complicated of a story it is. So really, the lessons that we learned were with that one, not to have too crazy, not too unique of a product, that it's complicated for people to understand. But we did have some early success where people would give us a shot to get it on shelf because it was unique. The beverage space is so saturated, and you have to come into it with a unique idea. Otherwise,
Yeah.
buyers are just going to say, well, what's different about this from a White Claw or a Twisted Tea? And you have to have something unique, but it can't be so unique that people don't get it. So finding that balance, finding the niche was something that we had to learn over time.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you when you look at running a company out of Calgary and in Alberta, um, what benefits are there of being uh, a business in this province and in this city?
Well, Alberta is, they call it the Wild West for a lot of things, and it's the Wild West for the beverage industry as well. There's not any rules or provincial bodies that have to approve an alcohol product to get into what's called Liquor Connect. So it's basically the distribution channel where all the liquor stores buy from. If you're going to go into BC, Saskatchewan, Ontario, you have to basically be approved by the head buyer in the province in order for your product to even show up on shelves at liquor stores. So here, anybody can launch an idea, and anybody from around the world can launch an idea here. So it's great because you don't have to get over that first hurdle of getting approval, but then you're up against everybody.
Yeah.
So you've really got to stand out. So it's interesting. You've got a shot like right off the bat. You can pitch an idea, but then you have to make it work.
Hmm. Now, tell me, have you seen the benefits, I guess, of the buy local, buy Canadian movement that we're seeing in all over the place in this country these days?
I think so. This year has been better than most and or than previous years. So hard to say if that's just us figuring our stuff out or if it's just the timing of things. But there's a lot of times when I go into a tasting and people's first question is, where is this from? And it's basically like, it seems like a mental check that people have to do is like, oh, it's Calgary. Even I was at a tasting in BC, and in past years, it's been maybe a little bit of a provincial thing where people were hoping that the local check would come from like a local producer to the province. But now it seems like people are just local to Canada as that just first thing to be like, okay, good. And it opens them up to be a little bit more receptive to the idea, I think.
Now, I'm curious also about consumers these days, and do you find that there's I know when even Stats Canada puts out its numbers all the time about alcohol consumption, beer is always number one up there. But are you finding that more and more people are drinking sort of the spirits and the cocktails these days uh, rather than beer?
Yeah, we've seen some studies where the beer is kind of the craft beer movement is kind of going over the hump and
Yeah,
starting to go down. And now it's opening up space for some more premium cocktails. Our entry into that space is our inversion line. So these are little tiny cans that are full strength cocktails. We wanted to basically, people are wanting to drink less but better is what the studies are showing.
yeah,
So instead of drinking drinks where it's just a bunch of like 5% cocktails that kind of taste like something, they want a full flavored drink, full alcohol strength drink that is like what they would get at a bar. So with this drink, we've basically no compromise. It's nitrogen infused. It's a shaken cocktail. So this is an shaken elderflower gin sour. You actually shake the can hard. This infuses nitrogen gas into the liquid. You crack it gently and pour it straight down into a cocktail glass.
yeah,
And this gives you that texture and that foam of a shaken cocktail that you'd expect from a bar. So with that, what we're trying to do is give people a proper cocktail experience like they would get at a bar, but make it more cost friendly.
mm,
There is a lot of issues right now, like people are watching their wallet a little bit more closely.
yeah.
So going to the bar and spending $20 on one cocktail is okay, but when you have two or three, then you're looking at like an $80 bill. With this, we're selling these as four packs and it's about $20 and you get four full strength cocktails. So we're trying to kind of find a space where people want to drink better, have these experiences where they're not necessarily binge drinking, but they're just having like a fun cocktail with friends, having that like having the experience that they're looking for, but without having to go to a bar every time.
Yeah, no, interesting. What advice would you give an aspiring entrepreneur?
I would say have a team of people that have different strengths than yourself. I think that if I had, like, I'm kind of the marketing side of things. My sister is the finance and the compliance, so she handles all of the AGLC, all the liquor laws, all the
Yeah,
that stuff. Josh does all of the production, recipe development. And it's great because we stay out of each other's way to an extent, but we also trust each other to make sure that we've got our bases covered and that we can focus on our ends of it. I would say if we could have another person, it would be have somebody who's great at sales. If we had a fourth person, have a salesperson who likes to hit the streets and
yeah,
get out there and do that. Like a four-person team would have made our team so much better. Basically, we've had to kind of outsource that, working with agencies to help with that side of things. And with launching a product, I would say make sure that it's unique, but not too unique, as I was mentioning before.
Yeah.
if you can have a niche where it's like very specific to a group of people that will buy a lot of it, that's great. Focus on that channel. Um, and yeah, if you can see into the future a little bit of like what's not what's the product that's going to be popular in 5 years, but what's the product that's going to be popular in 2 years, I think
Yeah.
that would be the way to do it.
Yeah. Interesting. Um, what do you do, John, to kind of relax away from the business? What kind of interests do you have?
I've got a 3-year-old son, so he takes up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
So just playing Spider-Man, him and my wife, and just yeah, going to the park or going to the pool. That's
Yeah.
the free time. Yeah.
Is it tough? Is it tough juggling the two, like being a small business?
Yeah. That might actually be another piece of advice that I would say is that if you're young, that would be the time to like if before you have kids and a family, like that would be the time to launch a business.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, my son was born basically, I don't know, I'd say maybe a couple months before our first production run was done.
Uh,
And that was like a lot of sleepless nights and it was a lot of learnings. I had to learn how to be a dad and learn how to be a beverage company salesman at the same time. So maybe try to time your life out better than I did, but you do what you can.
I'm just curious. Have you ever, have you ever been in a place just on your own and seen somebody pick up one of your products? And if you have, I'm just curious the feeling that you got when you saw that first time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was at a liquor store last summer, and there was actually a person that came in and asked the teller where the product was. Like, and I didn't even know that our product was available in that store. I was actually pitching, so we've got different lines, and I was pitching a different one. And it was a crazy feeling. I didn't know if I should act like it was my product or if I should and be like proud of it or just be like, oh, hey, like, how'd you find out about this? Like, I'm another customer. So I didn't know how to act, but it was a great feeling. And I definitely told Trish and Josh about it afterwards. Yeah, it's nice when you start to get some steam and people start to discover it. Then after that, it's yeah, how do you get more people kind of doing that? So
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks so much, John, for joining us today.
yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Okay, that was John Erisman, who is co-founder and director of brand for Gradient Beverages in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us today.